Hi, this is medievalist.net, and this is the Medieval Kalamazoo Roundtable.
Hi, this is Sandra from medievalist.net. Hello.
We are joined by Candace, Robb. She's a best-selling author of medieval fiction books, and you've just come out with one recently.
Well, The King's Mistress came out 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a couple on the
I
way.
a couple in.
It was very
yes,
good.
You did.
I enjoyed it very much.
Yes. And I have a book on Joan of Kent with my editor, and I'm starting to work on a new Owen Archer mystery.
Excellent. Good. And we also are joined by Elan Justice Pavlinich, who is recently completed his PhD here at Western Michigan University.
Not yet.
Oh,
but keep your fingers crossed.
Oh,
one day.
Yeah,
Wishful thinking. That's okay. I'm alright with that.
And we're also Sandra Sadowski, so of medievalist.net. So.
Yep.
And
no books, no degrees right now. Okay, thanks.
And we're about halfway through Kalamazoo, so and I think we've been to like a ton of papers and had a ton of wine. So, but let's try and talk about the papers first. So, and about the things and your paper, and you gave a paper, and you were part of a kind of special couple of sessions.
Yeah, we were giving papers in honor of Laura Hodges, who's a great friend and the author of 2 books on Chaucer and costume. So there are people who owe so much to her in different ways. How her expertise on costume has helped people teach in the classroom and get across to the students what is really significant about the way Chaucer describes the pilgrims, because every little piece of clothing he describes has a particular meaning, and especially when it veers from what is usually accepted. So he's giving a lot of characterization through clothing. And I personally am very indebted to Laura because she is my wardrobe consultant on my novels. So with somebody who's such an expert on medieval clothing, she's an amazing friend. So we had papers on birth girdles, and everybody's still trying to figure out these long strips of paper with prayers on them. They were modeled after the Virgin Mary's girdle that is a relic, and Westminster Abbey had one of them. But these are pieces of paper, and so a lot of the conversation at the end of that session was, well, what would you do with this? Would you wrap it around the woman as she's giving birth, or would it just be laid across her stomach? Or it's all very new research. That was very interesting. And people who've taught Chaucer and used her books. So I think she was very moved by all the papers.
I was listening in on your paper, and I was really struck by how much collaboration you've been doing with her. You had it looks like many email correspondence and
a very big email correspondence. It took me 2 weeks just going through all of these emails from about 16 years, and the conversations we've had on whose garter is it in the order of the garter, and what kind of amazing costume Alice Perrers wore as Lady of the Sun, and she's really the one who came up with this sort of Las Vegas great design for me. And but she's also really talked to me a lot about just the culture and what it meant about women wearing white veils, and why widows wore what they wore, and why just all the different customs around clothing.
That's fascinating.
Now, Elan, you also gave a paper, I guess, today. So,
Yep.
But what were besides that? What were all the other things that you did?
Well, I'm giving 2 papers tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be the busiest day ever. I said it on a few sessions, and I'm really impressed. I try to just go as diverse as possible. Like, I usually try and pick out sessions that I'm not familiar with, things I have no idea what I'm walking into, and then of course some really trendy hip things. Chaucer is always a hot topic. So I saw some of the papers by undergraduates that's organized by Marcia Marzik, and I don't even know how to work my cell phone. and these kids are putting together, young adults, are putting together computer programs that are analyzing plain chant. Trying to think, Walker Horsfall from Toronto was looking at just the intonation of saints' names and actually was able to set up a program that would catalog these. And he was looking specifically at the name Thomas Becket, but he's starting to look at other saints as well as just using things like Adobe Photoshop to bring out the details in frescoes as something that might help medievalists, because things like infrared photography is so expensive. And so really using the tools that we have just available to us on something like a Mac. So it was interesting to see what the up-and-coming medievalists are really interested in right now, and just where the field could be going in the next couple of years, especially if you know how to work a computer. I don't. And I think just today, was it today or yesterday? All my days are running together. I saw the best session I've seen. I've been to 4 congresses now, and the session it was organized by Graham Drake for the Society for the Study of Homosexuality in the Middle Ages. And it was, the session had everything. It spanned everything from queer pedagogy.
It was today. This morning and then this afternoon.
There's no sense of time anymore.
It's just one big blur.
Is why I'm glad you reminded me that I'm presenting tomorrow, so I should probably pick out my shoes.
Right.
But yeah, it spanned everything from queer pedagogy to just what is queer theory doing and how is it informing medieval studies, what is its position, how is it being received within the university. Again, looking at Chaucer, Queering the Knight's Tale, that was a fascinating paper. So some very interesting sessions, and of course there's so many more to go to tomorrow. You can't see everything.
Oh, and in your paper, it's tomorrow. Like, what's just a topic that you're going to be kind of touching on really briefly?
I'm talking about cognitive theory and how it can be used to inform Boethius' The Consolation of Philosophy, and looking at the problems of dualism, this binary opposition we've set up and Boethius has set up between the mind and the body, and why we really need to reconsider how meditation on this text and how these things are working together, that really the body is very important for understanding this sort of cognitive ascension through the Consolation of Philosophy.
I'm just giggling inside because you just finished saying, I'm not smart, and then all this binary theory and stuff came out of his mouth, and my IQ just went down 50 points.
No. You're making me blush.
No, it's so funny. I did the same thing. I kind of go here, there, and everywhere. So I did 2 of the queer theory sessions. They were fantastic and very interesting. And I did one on Cistercians, on Aelred of Rievaulx, and Cistercian nuns, and it was just very, very different. And then I went to one on justice and law. So I've kind of gone, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like, I don't like staying in one, particular field. I kind of like to move around and see everything and just kind of learn new things, pick up new things. I'm still in the process of picking out, other than your thing, of course, what I'm going to be going to tomorrow and Sunday morning. So, and I know you're doing a lot of the military stuff. With
this year, I found that I haven't really been doing too much. Like, in my military, I have a military history background, and I'm involved with the De Re Militari, the Society for Medieval Military History. But this year, most of the papers I've been kind of dealing with so far have been dealing with kind of health and kind of populations using kind of bioarchaeology. There was this interesting project out of Ohio State, and there was 2 papers presented on that. Basically, they're doing this European-wide examination of skeletons to find out various health aspects, and finding out like where people taller, being a judge of health, it's like how tall people are, did it matter, like from Northern Europe to Southern Europe, which it did. Tall people were taller if they lived on the coast as compared to everywhere else. Everywhere else they're about 1 to 2 centimeters smaller.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like, and also just there was even a little more impact. Like when another person was talking about osteoarthritis and what like the onsets of that with medieval people, and besides kind of normally finding out the they expected that as we get older, everyone's getting more osteoarthritis in their joints and stuff like that. But that there are some little exceptions. Like for some reason during the High Middle Ages, women between the ages of 25 and 30 have a high incidence of osteoarthritis in the elbows.
Huh.
They don't know why that is, because if they're like 20 to 25 or 30 to 40, that's in line with normal practices. It's also kind of found out that people in high Middle Ages were actually quite, and it's they're looking at the years 1000 to 1300, and they're actually healthier, it seems, than people coming in later centuries.
Yeah, I've heard
That's
that it's
curious.
actually the Industrial Revolution that really kills health.
They mentioned that. They also mentioned the ice, like the little ice age, as
The mini ice age, yeah.
those kind of. But it's still like they're still kind of working out these. This is kind of like research that they're still getting, but they've got thousands and thousands of samples, skeleton samples to kind of work with, and they're still trying to kind of come across. But I've been looking a lot, in again, it's new for me, so like I've really enjoyed it. To kind of talking about health, like things from holy wells in Ireland, the prevalence of famine and disease also in early modern Ireland, early medieval Ireland. That was quite interesting. I saw a very fascinating paper today about this French merchant who kind of wrote a journal of his life. And he lived from the late 15th to the early 16th century. And the paper just kind of dealt with his pilgrimages that he undertook. And he went to Aachen and Cologne and other places in Germany. And he has this great eyewitness accounts of how these churches, just the process of going through it, and from how these churches get crushed with people, like to a point where people were like lifting people on like almost like surfing, body surfing, in the church as they're trying to get through, and just the kind of the procession and like him describing what he sees. So I found it like this is a source I'd never had come across.
So was that your favorite?
It was like in terms I was really excited to kind of hear and then talk with the person who gave the paper afterwards and tell her like this is really fascinating stuff. Like she seems quite surprised that people were really interested in her paper, but it got a lot of questions, a lot of positive feedback.
One thing I will mention that I've done differently this year is I used to avoid roundtables like the plague. I just was like roundtable. Okay, I didn't understand like what was going on there, so I decided this year I'd try some roundtables, and I've been pleasantly surprised. I did go to the one that the controversial one. Time again is a blur. Yesterday, yes, the one I can't remember is the fuck feminism and all this kind of thing, and then. The only issue and then I went to a queer theory roundtable, and the only comparison between the two, what I would say like I enjoyed more is the smaller roundtables, because you get a lot more information and you get to sort of hear what the speakers have to say. The roundtable from yesterday had a lot of speakers, and it was kind of hard because it seemed there were some interesting ideas and papers, but it was your 7 minutes are up next, and it just kind of it went too quickly for me. I kind of wish some of them would have been able to stay longer on stage and actually flesh things out. Whereas today, there were 3 speakers, and it was much more enjoyable. It was more like a discussion, and people were more involved. And of course, I'm looking at it and going, I actually want to go to more roundtables. I find them interesting. They're kind of like a lighter take on certain things, and it's great when you get to participate and ask questions. And I don't know if any of you have been interested in the roundtables.
I went to one yesterday. It was on the occasion of Mark Ormrod's big biography, Yale Monarch series on Edward III. And it was great because his good friend Chris Given Wilson did a little critique on it. And but first of all, we were all laughing about it. It's a very thick book, and this doorstop of a book, and he's saying, "Oh, look at the thickness of this book, and look at what you've done with it, and you bastard, because you've got to do this great book." And he was very funny, and yet bringing up things that he felt might have been in the book that weren't, and knowing both of them very well, I could tell that it was all very affectionate and everything. I'm not sure that everybody in the group did.
How many speakers were in the?
And there were only three. So there was Mark sitting in the middle, and then there was Chris who first spoke, and then Michael Bennett spoke, and Michael Bennett had been the student of the I can't remember his name, but the historian who had originally had the contract to do this, and after he died, then some of his notes were given to Mark Ormrod, but he decided not to even look at the notes until he had written his draft of the biography, and then he looked at what his predecessor had kind of considered, and he said that it was in some ways quite similar. But so then they both talked about what might have been different, if this other person had written it. It's really embarrassing not to remember his name. And then Mark got to respond, and talk a little bit about what got into the book, what he had to leave out of the book, why he decided to do it chronologically. And it was really nice that way, instead of just like a little book interview or something, to hear what some of the critiques might be, what someone thought maybe could have been in there, what his predecessor might have actually put in there or not been able to put in there because of the research that's happened since then. So that was a nice one. But I think I haven't gone to very many of them, because I've sort of avoided them too.
I just did two. I did one because it was so. I had to, the controversy. I couldn't help myself. I'm like, I have to do this. It's so naughty. I gotta go. So I went to see it, and I enjoyed some of them, but it was hard to keep track of everything. There were I think 7 or 8 people versus the one this afternoon, and I just enjoyed it much more. There were 3 people again. We have 3 people, and they're able to talk more in depth. It's not even like for very formal papers. It's more kind of, well, this is where I'm going with teaching. They were talking about queer theory, teaching this and that, and this is how it is in my school, and talking about Gower and Chaucer and all this. It was very interesting. And the other ones, it was great. It kind of was. I almost wish they had cut it to 4 people, maybe, or 3.
What was so naughty about this one that you had to go to it? I'm really curious about this.
It was like there was the session.
It was the title.
The title.
Title of the session.
It was the whole list, though.
Yeah,
the title was Fuck This.
Fuck This. Fuck Romance. It was about letting. It was about letting go. It's fuck romance. Fuck readers. Fuck feminism. And something. Correct. Sorry,
Fuck Orientalism.
Fuck Orientalism. And the whole everything. Then there was one that was obscure because it was about historicism. Neo-historicism, and it didn't have the word fuck in it, so it confused me. I was like, why isn't it
I'm
fuck
lost without
historicism?
obscenities.
I'm lost without the cursing, right? And I had to go because I'm a sucker for shock value, right? I'm like, this is great, look at this is so controversial, I gotta go and be hip and cool and do this. And it was fun, and some of it was funny, and it's just, I just would have
Might be
preferred
noisy.
like 3 or 4,
It's really noisy.
kind of. Yeah.
I'll protect you.
Yeah,
I'm like you though.
Sorry about that.
I like the idea of you wanting to be hip at a medieval conference. I think I love that. That's wonderful. But I'm like you, I wanted to see as well, because you see something like that in the Congress program and you wonder, well, what does this mean? What are you going to do?
You know, I
You're
expected
going to say,
people.
fuck this. Like, okay, why?
Yeah, I thought people would be outside with placards going, you know, angry signs and stuff. And I got there and it was like quiet and everybody is well behaved and listening. And I'm like, it's just a bunch of people with obscenities and they're still talking about medieval stuff. This is okay. It's not that. I don't feel so shocked and appalled. And I kind of wanted to feel more shocked and appalled, but it didn't happen. But the point the point of it
Wait
was,
till the Congress dance.
wait.
Then you will feel
Oh,
shocked.
that's
and
shocking.
Then I will be shocked and appalled. Yeah, but I guess the point of it was trying out the whole roundtable thing this year for me, and I'm enjoying it. So maybe I'll try and find another one tomorrow to go to and just have a total comparison. Go to 3 different roundtables, see what they're all about. I just kind of, like I said, I enjoyed that one, and it was funny and it was a bit racy. I just kind of wanted it cut down more. You know, if somebody took an idea and was able to stretch it out. And I don't know, like I would recommend if you want to kind of sort of take a break and just enjoy more like a conversational thing, to go to a round table. You know, it's not so formal. It's nice. I don't know. Peter, what do you think? I know you're not a fan of the round table.
I'm not a big
I
fan.
found you
It's-
as a non-fan of the
I'm
round
not-
table.
Like I found that in the past I've gone to them that the conversation is a lot of insider conversation where a lot of
that's
people know. I know this person, and they can joke, and if you're not part of that group, you come across like, what's the inside jokes are here, or what's the stuff that somehow I'm missing out, because like in the sense like, well, we've already, and I'm a little more comfortable doing the military kind of roundtables because I know everyone that's there, and I know all their works, and I know why this person might be joking with this other person. But like if I go to another one where I don't know the people kind of intimately, it's hard to kind of follow along. That's my kind of experience. So
I didn't find them hard to follow along. I found them like it's just in terms of preference and the number of people delivering information. It just towards the end it got too much. I felt like should have been a timer and ding, next, kind of like I hate that. And versus today was like I could have been there for another half an hour and I wouldn't have noticed. It was because it was more engaging and kind of more interpersonal. But yeah, it's something I think I might try and see if there's anything like that going on tomorrow too and check it out. So that's my round table rant. I'm done now.
Like one thing, you're still kind of thinking about what kind of sessions you want to go to, and I guess we're all kind of like, if you're not giving a paper, you kind of like you're taking a look, and you literally have about 50 choices per session, and it's I think I wonder how much there's a kind of a not a competition between various sessions, but every session wants to have people come out to it, right?
Oh, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And like some might go for a shock value or try and surprise, so we get like the health studies sessions, and we've had like other kind of, and trying to get to this is weird, this is different, and trying to say like, well, at least I can this is how I can kind of bring people. But how do you make a choice besides for like what kind of session you want? Like what's the factors that go into saying I want to be at this place?
That's a good question.
Sometimes I look for things that I know nothing about. I just think that would be really interesting. Because I do tend to mostly go to sessions on 14th century history or 14th century literature. I also look for people who I'd really like to hear, whose maybe books I've read, and I would really like to. It sometimes makes such a difference to hear their voice and hear the way they present their material. They're quite different than just reading it in a book. And I don't know, how do you pick things out?
I'm like you. I want to be exposed to things because, you know, coming out of an interdisciplinary program, being here at Congress where everything is so interdisciplinary, it's fascinating to be able to walk into a session and think, I know absolutely nothing about this. And just sitting there and picking up things, and even if it's just, you know, they reference this book and you scroll down the title and that ends up being a great source for you later, you get to see just how important it is to try and take in this culture from every aspect possible. And just why people are passionate about particular fields. Even if it's not your cup of tea, it's great to sit in on a session and just see someone who clearly loves their work. They love what they do. This is, yeah. I really feed off that energy, so I enjoy seeing that. When it comes to picking the sessions, it's difficult. It really is difficult. Yeah, and that's why I always try, like I go through the program a couple times and I flag the ones that I definitely can't go without seeing. But then I try to leave some space in between, just so if it comes down to just, I'm walking out of this session, what do I want to see next? And I just sometimes just flip the book open, and it's kind of nice, like not to have a set plan, but see like, where am I going to go next? Or where are my friends going? Where, you know, who are you going to bump into and what are they going to see? So just to take in those sessions.
And for me, I like to learn things too, but it's kind of funny because sometimes I feel like an interloper. I go to these sessions and I don't know anything about the topic, but I'm so curious. I just kind of sit there quietly and try to take everything in and scribble stuff down later and be like, I have to look this up so I don't look like an idiot. And, you know, and it's great. And you learn things and then you open your mind and stuff. And now I'm forcing myself to not fear theory. I'm trying to really overcome that. So I'm trying these things out now. And then, of course, you know, my inner nerd, like, I mean, the Tolkien Society, hello. I mean, I attended that because I'm a huge, like, Tolkien nerd for no other reason than that. So, I mean...
Isn't it amazing the depth that they go into in some of those sessions?
It's awesome.
That's
and that's one, like, my happy place. I can be in there and be like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. Like, right in there. They're like, Cimmerillion this and that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I know that elf. It's so funny. And then I leave and I go to something and they're talking about like the Knight's Tale or something and I'm like, they know I'm an interloper. It's so funny. But yeah, I choose I try and set up, because I'm neurotic and I have to have a set schedule, and I try and set one, and then sometimes I go and I'm like, the next day I scrap it. I mean, I've had things picked out for Saturday and then and now I'm back to square one and I don't know what I want to go to anymore, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And what do you do? How do you pick?
Well, you know, one thing is that when I come to Kalamazoo, I'm meeting up with like old friends that I haven't seen in usually 1 year, and I want to see their papers. Like because also they've kind of supported me in the past, and so I want to kind of support them, and so I want to go to the papers and like that they're doing and say, you know, and kind of be there and like, because, you know, in part I'm interested in what they do because that's, you know, why we have this exchange and correspondence and, you know, but at the same time you want to be kind of supportive. So I have that kind of, you know, that kind of brings me to doing some things, but at other times, like I think it's, you know, now that I've been working on with medievalist.net for that, is that I'm getting exposed to different types of articles and views and different areas of research, and that's why like I kind of picked the bioarchaeology. You know, that's not something I had any real background in, but from the papers I've kind of seen and the kind of news that's come out, I can see how it can be very interesting, and that's why I went, okay, maybe I can learn a bit more.
It's kind of funny because I can actually go through the program and go, oh yes, you know, Peter will go to that, to that, to that. But this year he's been stumping me. He's like, no, I'm going there. I'm like, what? That's not military. That's not violence. Why are you there? What is that? And it's kind of funny, and I like that. He's kind of throwing me for a loop now. I can't put him in a neat little military pigeonhole. It's good.
Well, when I was, I think in years past, I did a lot of just military history. It'd be the day rate military sessions or the Crusades sessions, and then and as and part of that was there's so many great scholars doing military stuff that you can't fit them in over like 3 or 4 sessions. You wind up doing the whole week, or just with them. I didn't think that's really the case this year, but there's been a lot of papers about the 800th anniversary of the Battle of Las Novas de Tolosa in Spain. So it was a major battle, and I've only been able to kind of hit one session on it, but there's been at least 2 or 3 others, and I've kind of wished I'd been able to kind of partake in that. So I'm kind of so I'm kind of conflicted all the time. It's and you wind up getting it's but it's so far I've really enjoyed everything I've kind of been to. So I don't have any regrets, and then I think tomorrow will be another really good day. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's ever changing, ever growing. I mean, with the night sessions too now and everything, it's it's just you can't possibly see everything. And oftentimes you're torn. You're like, I really want to see this, but this is at the same time. No, I'm finding a lot of that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should eat. No, there's a session on at midnight now. They've midnight, so eventually they're gonna go. It's gonna be forget wine hour. Just gonna plow through.
I've seemed to cut out breakfast and lunch, so that's my. That's one of the things I cut out.
That was because I was straightening my hair. That was my fault. Sorry.
They.
Just to put that out there.
Well,
I totally scrapped breakfast for us this morning because I just straightened my hair. Sorry.
Looks great.
Not anymore. Not so much. Not at this time of night. No.
Yeah. One other topic I just want to kind of talk about before I let you go back to the wines, which is about the wines and about the kind of nightlife of the Congress. Because we hosted our first reception on
open
Wednesday
bar,
night.
Just say it.
Yeah, well, open bar, but which brought out. But there is every night there is quite a lot to kind of do, and not just receptions, but there are events going on, and there's people dinners, dinners. People eating people, but
I'm sleepy.
I didn't know it got that crazy.
Yeah, and there'll be the dance tomorrow. And Pseudo says someone's giving a paper on it. Pseudo.
Second time too.
But awesome. How do you kind of feel about is going to Congress just as much about going to papers, or is it also about meeting up with people and enjoying that kind of aspect?
Sex and drugs.
Sex and drugs of Kalamazoo.
And rock and
I come to Congress for sex and drugs.
Yeah. Well, you live here, so
you put that in.
Well, that was the big draw. That was the appeal. The Kalamazoo nightlife. Rocking out by the Swan Pond. Yeah. What kind of trouble do you get into?
I don't get into a lot of trouble. I just, but I do see loads of friends, and sometimes tomorrow morning I'm not even going to any sessions. I'm just seeing a friend that I haven't seen in a long time. She used to arrange a lot of author events here for the writers of medieval fiction. And every night is dinner with friends, and then going to one of the really we go to the receptions mostly to see other friends who are going to be at the receptions, and half the time you don't really realize what the reception is for. You get kind of annoyed when they want to make an announcement and everybody has to shut up.
And you're like, I just want to talk about shoes with you. Shh, be quiet.
I don't care who gets this award this year. What award anyway? But
here it's for you.
But it's just seeing all these people that if you come here for a long time, it's just. I didn't choose the academic route, but I still see people I went to grad school with here.
That's awesome.
And it's interesting to see how they feel about their lives by this time.
Ouch. Yeah. What about you? How about that nightlife? What are you saying?
See, I'm like you. I actually, it's nice to catch up with people. I don't know that many people. I know you guys. I know you now. We'll get together, have tea next Congress. It's nice to see. I love seeing the kids from the University of Connecticut. They're awesome. They're a great group. So any chance I get to hang out with them. Of course, I have my friends here at Kalamazoo, my peers who I went to school with. Other than that, the swans. Yeah, I like to feed the ducks. I don't
The
do
geese?
the night.
What about the geese?
The geese scare me because they charge. And they'll hiss at you.
They didn't
And
charge
so,
at me. I took pictures of the babies like right up in
I've
the
had
wall.
bad experiences. I've taken my nephews to feed geese and ran out of bread, and they came after us. It was like a kid in each arm and me running. But yeah, I don't drink because like one sip of booze and I'm naked singing show tunes. So I try to stay away from that. And other than that, I don't go to the dance because I know you're supposed to go to the dance if only to earn your grad funding. Read between those lines. But no, I'm here because I'm an academic and I want to grow as a person and learn things. You?
Nightlife. I go to the receptions and meet people. That's and enjoy the beverages and the discussion. No, no, it's fun. I like coming back to see people that I can only see here once a year, and so it's kind of nice, And then oh hey, how's it been going, and this kind of thing. So it's good. I mean, I like that aspect of it. I like the receptions and the wine hour and whatever else they have going right now. And that's it. How about you, Mr. Social?
Well, I'm not as you know very well.
You like to
I'm
dance.
Not,
you go to the dance and he dances.
I often find it. I find it hard for me to to go into these wine hours and receptions and mingle with large groups. It's not my personality. So it's like I know I kind of have to do it, and then I'll try and latch on to people I know and things like that. I'm kind of fortunate that people have recognized me and recognized Sandra, so they come up and talk to us, and that really puts me at ease. But
that freaks me out.
They no, because otherwise I feel like I'm very shy in talking in a group. So they it's for me it's I enjoy to a certain extent the receptions and the dance and things like that, but I don't think I could do it for a couple of weeks like this. So I think we did. I'm glad that I'm glad that after a couple of hours I get to go back to my hotel and
goes on in Michigan, stays in Michigan. Just saying.
But
yeah.
But in terms of still, I think Kalamazoo is it's always an interesting experience, and I'm always happy to see these people that are coming in for the first time.
Newbies.
And saying asking them about their experience, how much they love it. So, and
and they're surprised. I think a lot of people are really surprised how much is going on here. Don't you?
The extent of it, for sure.
We have over they have over 3,000 people already in attendance, and they'll probably get a few more people today, and even tomorrow. I hear that there are always a couple of people that register on Sunday, which is pretty funny. But
that's weird.
It's a big community, so and it's good to become part of it. Just if only for about half a week. So.
Yeah, I come back, I'm always exhausted, so.
Any kind of last comments before we wrap up?
The book room. We didn't even talk about the book room.
Oh, okay.
About trying to get there early on Wednesday morning to get your name on the books that you want to get for 40% off.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you get the display copy, so you just rush in Or you buy them. You actually have to pay for them. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I always see that sold. I'm like, who are these people pre-ordering books? But yeah, I haven't gone in this year yet.
Well, I've been in and like I used to do a lot of book shopping, and I would wait till Sunday, you know, and be one of those people at 8 a.m.
It's like Black Friday. Everybody's like lined up.
Yeah.
And there were really good deals, and but like you know, at this stage, I haven't had a chance to look. I've been in the book room, but kind of talking business.
Do you buy books?
I walk through the exhibit hall and I look at all the things I can't afford. I do. Every now and again, I think I'm going to take out another student loan and just splurge on these few books. So yeah, I've got my eye on a couple things here and there. So yeah, University of Dallas is putting out some really cool stuff right now. Cornell always has really cool books, so I've been looking around. But what I really want is the chainmail suit, which wasn't here this year. I didn't see that, but I feel like I can't be a true medievalist until I have some piece of chainmail.
You have to defend your dissertation in that getup.
Yeah.
That would be so.
Yes,
There
you go.
that'd be awesome.
There are some regulars, like there are some regulars here, like the jeweler, the people that sell jewelry.
That's true. Harps.
Yeah,
Books. Harps.
there's other people that like. There's more and more non-book sellers here.
Coins.
Yeah, like so it's kind of neat. Like kind of it's always you do get to see new things. You have some of the old regular publishers that are here every year, but then you have a crop of new people. So.
It's true.
We have a tradition, because I first started coming out here with my mentor from Pittsburgh, and we would always get one of the funny t-shirts. Have you seen the funny t-shirts?
Oh, the drinking ones in Latin?
Yeah, the horrible t-shirts. So just so you can like wear them back home, and then you see people looking at you like, what the hell does that mean? You're like, well,
Okay.
you have to know something about medieval studies.
Last year we got the cornball shirts like Team York
Oh.
too. War of the Roses, it was awesome, and then we had this thing, we turned around. It was really nerdy, it was so fun. And then but none of my friends were like, what's that mean? And I was like, oh, okay. I'm just wearing this as a nightie now. That's it. That was that. So yeah. Nobody understood what that was about. They're like, is that like vampires? No, it's not. Anyways.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that should stay in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, because nobody else is going to laugh at it but us.
Yeah.
Really. So yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So it was good.
Elan, any final thoughts? Or?
No, thanks a
No.
lot for having me. I
Yay,
enjoyed this.
thank you for
Very nice to
coming.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And the
And,
flies finally left.
It's because
Yeah,
you're so
we're not crazy. We
Yeah.
just stop batting at flies.
Yeah. That's what they say.
That's
Well-
our story.
They had too much wine.
We're
I'm
sticking
still
to it.
sober, and they're picking up bugs that aren't even here.
Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed watch this whole thing. And
You're committed. Yes.
if you're at Kalamazoo, keep on partying. And if you haven't been, please set your vacation time to early May of each year, so you can come and partake in
Medieval
you know,
revelry.
medieval revelry, which is very different from Pensick. So they and again.
If I had a hook, I would use it now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.